Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into something pretty interesting today. It's all about online payments, specifically PayPal, and how some people are finding workarounds to use it, even in countries where receiving money is usually restricted.
You got it. We're going to take a close look at this YouTube tutorial I found. It's from a channel called Samix Digital, and it walks you through the steps of setting up a PayPal account, even if you live in a country like Papua New Guinea where it's normally not allowed.
Papua New Guinea, wow, that's interesting. So how do they pull this off? What's the secret sauce?
Well, the tutorial starts with a pretty specific link. It's not just the regular PayPal signup. It's paypal.com/.
PayPal.com/LELS.
I wonder what that LS means.
Good catch. That LS most likely stands for Lesotho. And Lesotho, as you might know, is a country in Africa where PayPal restrictions aren't as tight.
So it's all about making it look like you're in Lesotho, even if you're actually on the other side of the world. Exactly. It's like a digital disguise, you know. And it gets even more interesting. The tutorial also tells you to create a business account instead of a personal one.
Oh. Is there a reason for that?
My guess is that business accounts often have different verification processes, maybe a little less strict than personal accounts. It could be a way to slip under the radar, so to speak.
I see. So you're setting up a business account and you're pretending to be in Lesotho. But what about the phone number? I mean, PayPal needs to verify your identity somehow, right?
That's where things get really clever. The tutorial actually suggests using a random Lesotho phone number generated from a website.
Wait, a random number, like not even a real phone number?
Yep. And here's the thing. By using this random Lesotho number, the user is essentially masking their true location. It's like throwing off PayPal's tracking system.
Wow, it's like a digital game of hide and seek. But hold on, doesn't PayPal require you to enter your real name and address during sign-up?
Yeah, they do. But the trick is, you use your real name and address, but you select Lesotho as your country.
So it's like a mix of truth and, well, a little bit of digital deception.
You could say that. And it seems like PayPal is catching on to these tactics because the tutorial mentions that the creator's account actually got flagged for suspicious activity.
Oh, no. So does the whole thing fall apart at that point?
Not quite. To overcome this hurdle, the tutorial says to submit a passport photo for verification.
So it's like a backup plan. Even with this workaround, they can't completely escape identity verification.
Exactly. It shows how important these security measures are for online platforms. They want to make their services accessible, but also need to protect themselves from fraud.
So even with a Lesotho phone number and a business account, you still need a passport to prove who you are. What happens next? Do they manage to get the account up and running?
Yes, they do.
Right.
And to do that, they have to link their bank card and confirm it.
Okay, linking a bank card makes sense. That's how you actually get to receive money, right?
Right. It connects your PayPal account to a real financial institution, which adds another layer of legitimacy.
So you're pretending to be in Lesotho, but then your money is going to your real bank account in Papua New Guinea.
That seems to be the idea. It's like navigating a digital maze, finding loopholes and workarounds to access the services you need.
It's incredible how resourceful people can be when they're determined to get online. And it really makes you think about the lengths some people have to go to just to participate in the global economy.
Absolutely. But it also raises a lot of questions. Is this ethical? What are the risks involved? And what does this tell us about the bigger picture of the digital world and financial access?
That's what we'll be discussing in part 2 of our deep dive. We'll look at the ethical implications of this workaround and what it means for the future of the digital economy. Stay tuned.
Okay, so we've walked through this whole PayPal workaround step by step, and it's pretty clever, right? But I think it's time to take a step back and think about the bigger picture. Like, what are the implications of all of this?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a fascinating hack, but there are definitely some things we need to consider. Like, is it even ethical? Exactly. And what about the risks involved? You know, I'm thinking about things like legal issues or getting your account shut down.
Absolutely. And you know, it's important to remember that platforms like PayPal are constantly updating their systems. So a workaround that works today might not work tomorrow. They're always trying to stay one step ahead.
It's like a game of cat and mouse, right? With both sides trying to outsmart each other. But beyond those practical concerns, I'm also curious about the broader ethical implications.
Right. I mean, on the one hand, you have people who are just trying to make a living and access opportunities that are available to others in different parts of the world.
Yeah.
They're being resourceful, right?
Yeah, I get that. It's like they're trying to level the playing field. But on the other hand, there are rules in place for a reason.
Right. And bending those rules, even if it's for a good cause, can have unintended consequences.
It's a tricky situation, that's for sure. And it gets even more complex when you start thinking about the economic implications. Like, how does this whole workaround tie into the global economy?
Well, think about it like this. Financial inclusion, or everyone having equal access to financial services, is kind of like a global marketplace, right?
I'm following you.
Ideally, everyone should have the opportunity to participate in this marketplace no matter where they live. But as we've seen, there are these barriers, these digital walls that prevent people from doing so.
So these workarounds are like attempts to break down those walls, right? To create a more level playing field.
Exactly. They're a way for people to bypass those restrictions and participate in the global economy, even if they're not supposed to.
It's a powerful statement, don't you think? Like, these individuals are basically saying, hey, we're here and we deserve to be a part of this too. But then in the tutorial, the creator mentions that lots of online businesses prefer not to use PayPal. So even if you get the account set up, it might not solve everything.
That's a really important point. It highlights that even if you overcome one obstacle, there might be others waiting for you. And it raises the question, what other options are there?
Yeah, what are the alternatives for people who want to participate in the global economy but are facing these restrictions? I mean, is PayPal the only game in town?
Well, there are some really interesting developments happening in the world of finance, like cryptocurrencies and decentralized finance platforms.
Cryptocurrencies, right. I've heard about those. But how would they help in this situation?
Think of them like alternative currencies that operate outside of the traditional financial system. They're not controlled by governments or banks, which makes them potentially very appealing to people who are excluded from those traditional systems.
Ah, I see. So it's like they're creating their own financial pathways, bypassing the gatekeepers. It's pretty revolutionary when you think about it.
Absolutely. And that's why this whole area is so exciting. It's constantly evolving. What works today might be outdated tomorrow.
It's like the Wild West of finance, with pioneers and innovators forging new trails all the time. So it's clear that people are finding ways to break down these digital walls, but it's not without its challenges, right?
Right, exactly. And that's why it's so important to keep having these conversations, to keep exploring the ethical considerations, the risks, and the potential solutions. We need to figure out how to make the digital economy more inclusive and equitable for everyone.
I completely agree. So as we move on to the final part of our deep dive, what's the one thing you hope our listeners will take away from all of this?
Well, I think it's crucial for people to realize that the digital world is not some separate entity. It's deeply intertwined with our everyday lives, with our economies, our societies. And the decisions we make in this space have real-world consequences. So it's our responsibility to stay informed, engaged, and to think critically about how we want to shape this digital future.
That's a great point. The digital world is not just some abstract concept. It's a place where real people are making real choices, and those choices matter. So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We started with a simple YouTube tutorial about setting up a PayPal account.
Right, but it turned into a much bigger conversation about the digital economy and access and ethics. It's amazing how these things connect.
Absolutely. I bet our listeners thinking, whoa, I had no idea all this was going on behind the scenes.
It's like we pulled back the curtain on a whole hidden world, right? A world where people are constantly finding creative ways to overcome barriers and participate in the global economy.
It really makes you wonder what other digital secrets are out there, doesn't it?
I know. It's like a never-ending treasure hunt. But I think the important thing to remember is that with all this innovation comes responsibility.
Right. Just because you can find a workaround doesn't always mean you should. We have to consider the ethical implications and the potential consequences.
Absolutely. And as we move forward, I think it's crucial to focus on creating a more inclusive and equitable digital world for everyone, not just for the people who know how to find the loopholes.
I completely agree. We need to find solutions that benefit everyone, not just a select few. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one key takeaway you'd like our listener to walk away with today?
I think it all comes down to awareness. Being aware of the challenges, the possibilities, and a power we each have to shape the digital future. It's a world full of potential, but it's up to us to navigate it responsibly.
Well said. And on that note, we'd like to thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating, complex, and ever-evolving world of online payments and the digital economy. We hope you'll continue exploring these ideas and engaging in conversations that help shape a more inclusive and equitable digital future for all. Until next time, keep diving.